Recording in progress.
Just confirm me, am I audible or not? Good morning. Just confirm me, am I audible and the PPT is visible? Okay, let's wait for exactly 1 minute and we'll start today's session. Let others also join. Okay, did you revise the previous topics which we have been discussed during the class time? Did you revise it? Any doubts? Good, super. Okay. Okay, let's start. In today's class, we are going to discuss the remaining topic, which as we mentioned in the syllabus, particularly Coelenterate. Okay, in Coelenterate, they have been given polymorphism, metagenesis, coral formation, ctenophora, and we have completed this polymorphism and metagenesis, and the leftover part is coral formation and ctenophora. Okay, see, in with respect to the Coelenterate, what are all the things you have to read is general characteristics and classification. Okay, don't forget to read that. If you read that, it is more than sufficient. Okay, than the important topics which is mentioned in the syllabus, than the unique characteristic features, it is important to read the characters and classification. Okay, so characters and classification, after finishing that, then only you are going to read this polymorphism metagenesis. Okay, and today we are going to discuss about this coral formation and ctenophora. And one of the important point, don't forget to read this, is the difference between cnidaria and ctenophora. Okay, yesterday I have been explained to you what is the difference between the cnidaria and ctenophora. Okay, that is also an important thing. Okay, without any delay, let's discuss corals. Okay, coral animals or corals or marine. Okay, they are mostly colonial in nature, polypoid coelentrates. See, they are not medusa, they are polypoid coelentrates, looking like miniature sea animals and living in a secreted skeleton of their own. And that skeleton is made up of the calcium carbonate or calcareous skeleton. Okay, that is only we can call them as a coral. Okay, they grown into massive solid structures, form large branched colonies, and most of them belongs to the class Anthozoa and a few to the class Hydrozoa of the. This can be asked in your questions. Corals placed under which of the following class? The first thing you have to take down is this. Corals comes under the class Anthozoa and few belongs to the class also Hydrozoa. Okay, both Anthozoa and Hydrozoa, but most of them are belongs to the class Anthozoa. Clear? And the second thing you have to remember is what is the skeleton of coral is made of. Okay, it is made up of calcium carbonate. So it is called as the calcareous skeleton. And it looks like a sea animal. This is not necessary, but these 2 points is most important. Now, structure of coral polyp. How they look like. They formed a colony. They are not a solitary organism. They prefer to live as a group. Okay, so it is said to be as a colony, and it is a small organism, and it is about 10 mm long and 1 to 3 millimeter in diameter. The size is not necessary, don't need to memorize this, but instead, solitary coral polyps are much larger, reaching up to 25 centimeter in diameter. So you have to note the difference between the solitary coral and the colonial coral. See, colonial coral is a smaller, but when compared to the solitary coral polyp. Solitary coral polyp means what? Individual coral polyp. Okay, they don't prefer to live as a group. They prefer to live as an individual. So that individual coral polyp is the larger when compared to the colonial coral. And now, a basal disc is absent because of the basal region of the polyp is surrounded by the calcareous exoskeleton. Here, what is it absent? Generally, coelentrates have a basal disc, and that basal disc is necessary to attach with any of the substratum like rocks. But here in coral, this basal disc is absent because the basal region of the polyp is surrounded by the calcareous exoskeleton. The oral disc bears numerous tentacles. Okay, tentacles is for what? It is to capture the prey. For further feeding mechanism, the structure of tentacles is very important in several rows around an elongated oval or the circular mouth. And the pharynx or stomatium, see this name is important. If the question have been asked what is stomatium, this stomatium is seen in which of the following organisms, like that means you should not tend to confuse. Okay, this stomodium is another name of pharynx. This is a short and without siphonoglyphs. Okay, this is the characteristic features of siphonophora. Now, mesenteries are restricted to the upper part of the coelentron, and mesenterial filaments contain only one glandular lobe bearing nematocyst. What is this nematocyst? What is nematocyst? I have explained you when I taught the general characters this about the tentacles, nematocyst, and the statocyst. Tentacles is for feeding, and the statocyst is for sensory organism. Sensory organ, like it is a balancing organ while swimming. And what about this nematocyst? Very good, stinging cells. And this is the characteristics which has been seen only in the coelenterata. So this can also be asked in the question. And this nematocyst is a unique characteristic features of which of the following phylum? And you should know this is the characteristics of Coelenterata only. Now, body wall is without synclides and nematocyst bearing structures acontia. Okay, see what is acontia is also important. This is a nematocyst bearing structures, and muscles are poorly developed while little is known as about the nervous system. So this can also be asked in the question because here the muscular muscles are poorly developed, but there is a muscular system is present, but it is poorly developed, while little is known about the nervous system, which means what? The phylum where the nervous system has been emerged to originate is phylum Coelenterata. A nerve system is not found in the Coelenterata, but instead of that, a nerve net is present in the Coelenterata. The concept of nervous structure have been begin with the phylum Coelenterata. This can also be asked in the question. Living polyps are found only on the surface layers of the coral masses. The living polyps found only on the surface layer of the coral masses. Okay, it lives only in the surface of the corals. They feed at night both by raptorial and suspension feeding. This is their feeding mechanism. Okay, when not feeding, and they are going to feed only during the night time. When not feeding, they withdraw into a cup-like cavities of the skeleton. Clear? See, they are going to feed only at the night time, but by the raptorial and suspension feeding method. What is raptorial and suspension feeding method means? Raptorial is they are going to capture the prey or the other smaller organisms with the help of tentacles. And in case of suspension feeding means based on their size. Size is also important because if these coelentrates are going to follow which type of feeding mechanism? They are going to feed by filter feeding mechanism. So based on their size, their feeding mechanism will vary. That is called the suspension feeding mechanism. Yeah. Now, when they are not feeding it during the daytime or when they are not feeding, because in their daytime they are not going to feed. In that daytime or the time when or the period they are not feeding, they undergo a couple of cavities of the skeleton. Okay, now we are going to see about the coral skeleton, how they are made up of. See, this is the coral skeleton. This is the corallite, theca, septa costae, primary septa, secondary septa, tertiary septa, columella. And the most important structure is this corallite, columella, theca. Okay, these three structures is very important. And okay, let's see that. Skeleton of solitary coral is known as the corallite. Okay, see what is mean by a corallite? The skeleton of solitary coral, which means individual coral. It is said to be as the corallite. It is a calcareous skeleton, exoskeleton. We know that they are, see, in skeleton, there is two different types. One is endoskeleton and exoskeleton. In endoskeleton, the skeletal system is going to present between the two layers, that is outer and inner layer, and they are going to prevent the organisms from inside the body of an organisms. Okay, but in case of exoskeleton, the skeletal system will prevent the organisms by presenting in the outside of the organisms. Okay, then in that coelenteratons or the coral is made up of an exoskeleton in nature, and that exoskeleton is made up of calcium carbonate, or it is calcareous exoskeleton. And this particular calcareous exoskeleton is secreted by the epidermis. Clear? As it is secreted by the epidermis, that is an outer layer, it is said to be as an exoskeleton. Clear? If it is present in the mesoderm, then it is said to be as the endoskeleton. Based on their origin, we are naming their skeleton as the endoskeleton or the exoskeleton. Now, in a corneal coral, these corallites are an individual polyps. See, in a solitary coral, their skeleton is said to be as the corallite. But in corneal coral, these corallites or the individual polyps, they are fused together to form a skeletal mass, and that is said to be as the corallum. See, these are all the corallite. Clear? This. They are the corallite. They are fused together to form a structure. They are going to form a skeleton mass. They are going to give rise to a mass-like structure, and that we are said as the corallum. And each corallite is like a stony cup with a basal part or a basal plate and a cup wall or theca enclosing the arboreal portion of the polyp. And now the cavity of cup contains a number of vertical radiating ridges called sclerosepta proceeding from theca towards the center of the cup. See, let me explain you with the help of the picture. See, this outer layer is said to be as the theca. Okay, and now this coral light is radiating out from the theca. See, this is the theca, and the coral light is radiating outside. It is crossing the theca, and that structure is said to be as the septa costae. Okay, now this coral light, they are fusing at the center. This coral light at the center, they are forming a structure which is called as the columella. Okay, and what about this tertiary structure? See, this is the tertiary structure which is smaller than the secondary and the primary structure, and the little bit reducing little bit the reduction in size of the tertiary structure is said to be as a secondary structure. And when compared to tertiary septa and the secondary septa, this primary septa is the longer in nature. And from the primary structure, primary septa, secondary septa, tertiary septa is a structure or the coral light radiating out from the theca, it is said to be as the septa costae. Okay, bye. That's all about the structure of a coral skeleton. So you have to understand when it comes to the porifera, what are the skeletal system is made up of? It is made up of spicules and the spongin fibers. Like in the same way, you should understand what are all the skeletal system of coelentrates or corals is made up of. So the coral skeleton is made up of coralli, theca, septa costae, and septums. And one more structure is columella. See, the inner ends of the sclerosepta fuse to form an irregular central skeleton mass. It is said to be as a columella. This is the sclerosepta. This is the sclerosepta, which is radiating out from this theca. They are their inner ends. They are going to fuse to form a central skeleton mass, and that is said to be as the columella. Clear? Now, formation of the coral skeleton. See, in porifera, we have studied how the spicules and spongin fibers is made of. While seeing the porifera, we have studied the spicules is made up of which cells? Spicules is made up of which cells? Quick. Anybody remember? Spicules is made up of which cells and spongin fibers is made up of which cells? Is it? Okay, calcareous. But it also silicaceous. But what I'm asking is, which cells is going to give rise to spicules and which cell is going to give rise to spongin fibers? Very good. Scleroblast. And what about the spongin fibers? They are produced by the spongioblast. Okay. Like in the same way, we also tend to read how the formation of skeleton, how the coral skeleton is going to formed off. Okay, in coral polyps, they are going to reproduce by which mode of reproduction? Sexual reproduction. That too takes place by the fusion of gametes. In that, zygote develops into a free swimming ciliated planula larva. So you have to remember what is the larval stages of the coral. Planula larva is the larval stages of the coral. But also you have to remember this planula larva is free swimming in nature. For swimming, what is the structure going to help for this planula larva? Is cilia. So these three things is important. First thing is coral polyps. It is going to follow which mode of reproduction? By sexual reproduction. Okay, we know by the sexual reproduction two gametes are going to fuse. As a result of this fusion, as a result of this fertilization, zygote is going to form. And after the zygote is going to develop into a certain larval stage. And what is the name of the larval stage? Is planula larva. You have to remember, for this planula larva is not sedentary, but instead it is free swimming in nature. For swimming, which structure is going to help for this planula larva is cilia. Okay. Now, the zygote is develops into the planula larva, and this larva settles down. Okay, settles down. It going to search some fine place and metamorphoses into one young coral polyp. So this planula larva is the one going to settle down in any of the place and going to metamorphosis means what? Changes its structure into one young coral polyp. This is an important statement. Don't forget to memorize this. See, the most important thing is, as I said, when I said about the general characteristics of coral, it is a polypoid coral. I didn't mention any of the word like medusa. So this is also an important point. There is no medusa stage is seen in the coral. Okay, this is with respect to asexual reproduction. But in case of sexual reproduction, in case of asexual reproduction, it is formed by the budding. Okay, by budding mechanism, single polyp becomes the parent of all other members of the colony. Okay, the coral polyp begins to secrete a skeletal rudiment or prototheca, which is going to secrete this coral polyp. There is no any specialized cells here. This coral polyp itself going to secrete a skeletal rudiment. And what is rudiment means? Rudimentary structure means what the word rudiment mentioned here is the skeletal system is not well developed. It is going to starting. It is in the starting stage. It is rudimentary. Okay, it is functionally. It is morphologically infunctional. Okay, it is not functional in nature. That is said to be as a rudiment, and that structure is called as the prototheca. And this is secreted by the ectoderm. As I said, this coral has an exoskeleton in nature. It is secreted by the ectoderm, not an endoderm. Okay, and now this endoderm is going to secrete the skeletal system. But how they are going to secrete initially means, initially this ectoderm is going to secrete the skeletal system as a basal plate. Okay, later this basal plate is going to develop into a well developed skeletal system. Okay, following it, a radial force develops which secretes the sclerosepta. Another structure important for the skeletal system is sclerosepta, and they are going to secreted by the radial folds. At the same time, a rim is built up the theca wall around the polyps lying at the top. Okay. Meanwhile, further structural material is added into the gaps between the sclerosepta of the skeleton, which usually alternate with mesenteries of the polyp. See, all the things are going to secreted by the polyp. We know that there are some of the structural modifications undergone by the polyp. For example, gastrozooids, gonozooids, like that. Like in the same way, for the skeleton system, they are going to undergo some of the modifications and like the radial folds and that some of the structure, okay, and this radial force going to secrete the sclerosepta, okay, and after some time the gaps being filled by the mesenteries of the polyp. Now the coral colony grows in size continuously by budding, okay, by budding of new polyps, particularly along the margins and on the surface layer of the coral process. Variety in the form of compound coral results due to the patterns of the budding. How the structure of corals vary from one coral to another coral means by the pattern how they are cutting from the parent. Okay, how the budding is occur due to the cutting at the parent individual. The size may be vary. Okay, right. And how the skeletal system is formed by asexual reproduction method as well as the sexual reproduction method. In case of sexual reproduction, what is the larval stages is going to involve in the life cycle means planula larva and is free swimming and ciliated. This is the one going to develops into an adult polyp. There is no medusa stage is seen here. Okay, as it is free swimming, you should not remember, you should not think about the medusa stage. Medusa is free swimming, so definitely coral has the medusa stage, but you should not cross think like that. There is no medusa stage here. What are the types of corals in different groups? See, there are different types of corals we are going to study, and the first one is hydrozoan corals. In hydrozoan corals, what are all the things you have to remember is name of the corals and the unique features of if that coral possesses any of the structure, unique characteristic features, you have to remember that. And name of the order is little bit important, but it is not completely necessary. But when it comes to the coral, remembering order is important. Okay, we should not take a chance if they ask in the examination about the order, you should not blink. Okay, hydrozoan coral, there is an order called hydrocoralline. In hydrocoralline, there is some of the corals like millipora, stylaster, distichophora. At least you should aware of these names. These are the names of the corals. Okay, just like that, they have given in the exam stylaster, distichophora, millipora. They are comes under which of the following phylum? They have asked means you should know these are the names of the corals so that you can eliminate the option, which are corneal and secrete massive branched calcareous exoskeletons. They are found in the coral reefs with other corals. The skeleton is secreted by the epidermis. Again, epidermis or ectoderm, they are the one going to secrete the skeleton. Why? Because the skeletal system of coral is exoskeleton. Okay, and calicoblastic layer. Again, calcium come into picture. Now, living within the skeleton occurs two types of polyps. As I said before, the polyps is the one undergo some of the modifications. They are going to give rise to helps in their mechanism. Okay, these polyps in hydrozoan corals, particularly order hydrocoralline, these polyps undergo the modification of gastrozooids and dactylozooids. What is the function of gastrozooids? They are helps in their feeding mechanism. What about this dactylozooids? They are helps in their protection mechanism. Okay, that's all about the hydrozoan corals. Octocorallian corals, particularly the order Alcinaceae. Okay, it includes a marine, corneal, and they are said to be as a soft corals. This can be asked in the question. Soft corals are placed under which of the following corals, or they can be asked soft corals are placed under which of the following order. You should remember the name. And the genus, a well-known genus is Alcyonium. Okay, popularly known as the dead man's fingers. This also you have to understand. This is the unique features of this particular genus or the order. Dead man's fingers is said to be as which of the following genus. Okay, and Alcyonium, this is related to what? The name, you should aware of the name. Okay, this must be a coral and this must be a soft coral and it is placed under Coelenterate. These are all the things you should remember, and this genus it is called as a dead man's fingers. These are all the factual information you shouldn't forget. And it has an endoskeleton of separate calcareous spicules embedded in the massive mesoglia or schema. Okay, this is also an unique feature you should remember here. And order Stolonifera. And what is the name of this particular coral is pipe coral. What is that? It is said to be Stolonifera is said to be a pipe coral. Alcinaceae it is said to be a soft coral. Okay, and this pipe coral Tubifora musica, it is widely distributed on the coral reefs in the warm waters. See, when it comes to the coral formation, many of the things you should remember is factual information. It is not conceptual, but instead it is a factual information. The number of things you should remember, you can easily answer the question when they arise any questions in the examination. Now, skeleton is made up of mesoglial calcareous spicules forming parallel and vertical tubes, each occupied by one polyp and connected together by lateral platforms. And the skeleton is dull red in color due to the presence of iron salts. This is also an important thing. This is the remarkable feature when it comes to the order Stolonifera. But both order Alcinaceae and the order Stoloniferae, they are both comes under which corals? Octocorallian corals. Next, order Cenothecaliae. It is a single genus in the Heliophora. It is said to be as a blue coral. This is also an important question. See, the question can be arise from here. No doubt in that you can't escape from this. You should remember and you should memorize these type of questions. And it is a massive calcareous skeleton or corallium secreted by the polyps. See, you should remember the skeletal system or the corallium is secreted by water. There is no unique cells in the corals, but instead polyp is the one going to secrete these type of corallium or corallate. Okay, now order Gorgonaca. It includes plant-like colonies of sea fans or horiconals. See, they can ask in the question sea fans, sea cucumber, like that sea urchin, like that in the name of sea they give some of the names. And which of the following is not a coelenterate? Which of the following is comes under the coelenterate? Like that they have been asking. Okay, they have been asking frequently. So sea fans is a coral. Okay, and this sea fans it is also called as a horny corals, and this is placed under the order Gorgonaca. In Gorgonia, the colony branches is one plane only. Its axial skeleton is made up of horny proteinaceous material. Why this coral is named as horny coral means because it is made up of the protein horn, horny protein. That is why it is said to be as a horny corals. And it is intermixed with the calcareous spicules arranged around the polyps. See, can also be asked in the question in precious red coral, what is it? Corallium nobile. It is said to be as the red coral. The branching colony has coloniferous cyme of cenosaur containing dimorphic polyps. Axioskeleton consists of spicules embedded in the calcium carbonate, forming precious hard coral which is used in the jewelry. So you should also remember these corals also have the economic importance. Also like sponges. We have studied in porifera, the sponges also have medicinal importance. Like in the same way, this corals also have the aesthetic importance or an economic importance. Hexacorallian corals. The most important thing is order Madrefora. This order Madrefora includes the stony corals or the true corals. The question can be definitely they can be asked which of the following order is said to be as a true corals. In case they have asked this true coral means definitely the answer is order Madrefora, and they can also ask which of the following order is said to be as stony corals. And this order, why this order Madrefora is very important means they are said to be the principal builders of the coral reefs, like a raw material. This is the principal builders of the coral reefs. What is the order? Order Madrefora. Okay. Some are said to be as a solitary, some are individual, but most of the corals which is placed under the order Madrefora is colonial. They prefer to live as a group. And what about the solitary coral means? Fungia, flabellum, caryophylla. Again, you should know this fungia, flabellum, and the caryophylla are the corals. In case in the question they give the fungia. You should not think about the fungus. Okay, this fungi is the name for the coral, and it is placed under the Coelenterate. You should know this. Okay, Flabellum caryophylla. You should not think this as a bacteria. Okay, so this aware about these names is very crucial here. They are said to be as the solitary corals or the cup corals. What is that? Fungia, flabellum, caryophylla. The coral light is disc-like or cup-like or mushroom-shaped. Okay, that is why it is said to be as a fungia. Okay, because it is a mushroom in shape, and it is often without a theca. That outer layer is said to be a theca, and these type of corals, it is often happens without the theca. And what about this colonial coral means most of the stony corals are colonial, as we read before, with a plate-like, cup-like, spherical shaped skeleton corallium. And polyps lives at the surface. We have studied that live corals or the live polyp will be present at the surface of the corals. Typical examples of colonial coral under the order Madrephora is Acrophora, Oculina, Favia, Madrephora, Meandria. Okay, this Meandria can be frequently asked in the question. Okay, so you should remember this Meandria is one of the coral. Okay, and some of the colonies are branched. Here in staghorn coral, Acrophora, there is always a primary polyp at the top of the colony with lateral branches on either side. In some corals like Oculina, polyps remain widely separated, each occupying a separate theca. In others like Favia, Astrea, theca are so close together. See, in some of the corals, the theca are absent, completely absent. Okay, in some of the corals, the theca is completely absent. In some of the corals, the theca is separated. In some of the corals, the theca is closely associated together. Okay, and you have to. This is not that much important, but just read as a point. Okay, in the brain coral meandria, polyps as well as the theca become confluent, occupying valleys separated by ridges on the surface of the corallium. See, the skeletal structure is also vary from one coral to the another coral. For example, theca. Okay, just now we have seen. And now only we are getting to the syllabus. How the coral reefs have been forming. How the coral reefs have been forming. Wait. The coral colonies grows continuously in size by budding, by asexual mechanism, and often form extensive mosses said to be as a coral reefs. According to this T. Wayland Wagon, a coral reef is a ridge or a mound of limestone. Okay, limestone is nothing but calcium carbonate, the upper surface of which is nearer the surface of sea and which is formed chiefly of the calcium carbonate secreted by the coral polyps. As I said before, principal builders of the coral reefs is stony coral, that is the order Madrephora, but other important contributors also there, and that is hydrocoralline alcyonarians. And the coralline algae and foraminiferous protozoa also take part in the formation of the coral reefs. The most important point, what is the link between the porifera and the formation of coral reefs? They are also takes part in the formation of coral reefs. Okay, by acting like a substratum, by acting as a by acting as their prey, by acting as a substratum, this coralline algae and foraminiferum protozoa also important for the formation of the coral reefs. Just remember this point. They can link this foraminian protozoan and the coral reef formation, and there is a connection. They can act either by substratum or their prey. Rebuilding corals require warm, shallow waters. Definitely, if the corals undergoing the formation of a reef, they prefer to live in the shallow water, not in the deep water. And the temperature required for the coral reef formation is normally about 20 degrees Celsius, which is warm. They are therefore limited to the Indian, Indo-Pacific, Central Western Pacific, and the Caribbean regions north of Bermuda. And around 50 species of coral contributes in the formation everywhere along Florida Keys and in the West Indies. These points are not important. See, coralline algae and foraminiferous protozoa. What is it? They are an algae. They are going to synthesize as they are a different species. Algae are the different species. Protozoan are the different species. Okay. How they are important in the formation of coral reefs? There is a question here. They can, how they, for the coral reef formation, definitely they are going to eat something. Okay, for that, this foraminifera protozoa acts as a prey for the corals, or they can act as a substratum. The coral has to settle in one place, okay, to develop their colony by asexual by budding. For that, this foraminiferian protozoa and the coralline algae, they are going to act as a prey for the corals, or they are going to act as a substratum to help the coral reefs to settle in one place. Okay, this is how the coralline algae and foraminiferan protozoa helpful in the formation of coral reefs. Clear? Okay. Now, what are all the kinds of coral? There are three kinds, and what is that? Fringing reefs. See, fringing reefs, barrier reefs, and atoll. If you are clear with this picture, the coral reef formation is completely over. See, initially there is no coral is present, but instead the volcanic island is present. It is surrounded by water. In the center, there is a volcanic island. In the volcanic island, in the fringing reef, see how they are developing. This is the volcano, and there is a development of corals here. This is said to be as a fringing reef. Okay, in the barrier reef, it is developing its structure. In the barrier reef, instead, it is a lagoon is forming. How the process is happening, let me explain. But first, clear with the picture. In fringing reef, see, in fringing reef, there is an island in the middle. In the island, in the volcano, the fringing reef will be developing. It's nothing but the corals. They are initiating to develop. But in the barrier reefs, lagoon is forming. Atoll here means a lagoon is little bit larger, and the volcano here is suppressing in their structure. And what is dominating here? A coral reef is dominating. A completely developed coral island have been developed. Let me explain you how. See, coral reefs lying close to the shores. In fringing reefs, they are lying close to the shores of some volcanic island or part of some continent termed the fringing reefs. Initially, they are close to the shores, particularly in the volcanic island. A fringing reef may extend to a distance of quarter mile from the shore, with the most active zone of coral growth facing the sea. And this seaward zone is said to be as the edge or the front. In this particular edge or front, the fringing reef is going to develop. Okay, it is near the shore. The first thing you have to remember is the fringing reef. Where the fringing reef is going to develop is near the shore, close to the shore, facing the sea. But because this is the phase, it is said to be as the active zone of the corals, where from the shore, a few distance from the shore, it is said to be as the active zone for the coral growth. And that must be facing the sea area. Definitely the sea has to be present there. Only then the corals have been developed in the shallow region. A few distance from the shore, and that area is said to be as the edge or the front. Okay, now as low tide, water of channel recedes it quickly. Okay, see. Initially, there is a volcanic island. Okay, this is the volcanic island. On all the sides are surrounded by the water. Only then it's said to be a an island. In the island, see the development of fringing is occurring. A few distance, a few miles a few distance apart from the Sure, okay, that is said to be as a fringing reef is developing. That area is said to be as the edge or front. Okay, here as a low tide, there is no active tide is happening here. As low tide, water of channel recedes and quickly exposing a flat bottom surface. This is called as a reed flat. They are largely composed of coral sand, mud, dead living coral colonies and other animals. See, when it comes to the fringing reefs, what are all the things you should remember is it is going to lie very close to the shores of the some volcanic island. It is near the shores. Then only the fringing reefs is the coral reefs is going to start to emerge, and that starting phase is very active zone for the coral growth, and this stage is said to be as a fringing reef, and the zone where they are growing actively is said to be as the edge or the front. Okay, now when it comes to the barrier reef, they are like the fringing reef, but they are located some distance away from the shore. This is very short distance from the there, it is very quarter mile from the shore, but in the barrier reef, they are some distance away from the shore. But fringing reef is very close to the shore. But in case of barrier reef, it is some of the distance away from the shore. The stretch of the water separating the barrier reef from the land may be half a mile to 10 miles or more in the width. That is called lagoon. See how the picture is showing here. This is an island. Okay, this is the island, and where the fringing reef is developing here. As a lagoon, they are forming. This is said to be as a barrier reef. This is the difference between the barrier reef and the fringing reef. See here, the corals is developing near the shore. Here, the corals is developing some distance away from the shore. Okay, now, and here, this barrier is the phase where it is suitable for the vegetation. Sorry, navigation. Suitable for the navigation. The best example for the barrier reef is the Great Barrier Reef, and that is present in the Australia. This can be asked in the question. The best example for barrier reef is Australia. What are all the characteristic features you have seen in the barrier reef is it is like the fringing reef, but it is a few distance away from the shore. It is going to forming as a lagoon. Okay, and this barrier reef is suitable for the navigation process. And the best example for the barrier reef is Great Barrier Reef, which is present in the Australia. Now, next, atoll. Atoll is said to be as a coral island or the lagoon island, where the coral is completely matured and developed their colony. That is said to be as an atoll. Okay, when the question they have been asked what is coral atoll is refers to means you should know this is the coral island. Now it is a ring-like or horseshoe shaped. Horseshoe shaped, how it looks like. This is horseshoe. The like in the same way this atoll is looking like an horseshoe. The reef encircles a lagoon, but not an island. The lagoon has been formed here inside the island. This is an island. A lagoon have been formed here. Only in the lagoon, the coral reef is going to form, not in the island. This is called as an atoll. Only then it is said to be as a coral island, where the corals have been encircled the lagoon, not the island. It may be complete or broken by the number of channels of which only few are navigable. So the best phase for the navigation is barrier reef, not the atoll, not the fringing reef. The atoll of Bikine or the Bikine. Okay. See, the best example for barrier reef is Great Barrier Reef, which is located in Australia. But here in atoll, it is Bikine, famous for atomic or the hydrogen bomb test, which lies in the Pacific Ocean. This is all about the kinds of coral reefs. In fringing reef, it is near the island. Okay, near the island. In barrier reef, it is forming the lagoon. In atoll, the lagoon, they are going to form the coral reefs. Now, formation of coral reefs, there are certain theory, two different theory. One is subsidence theory by Darwin, another one is glacial control theory by Daly. Okay, this can be asked in the question. Glacial control theory deals with what? And this theory have been put forth by which of the following scientists? So that can be asked in the question. So there are two theories, and the first theory is subsidence theory, and that is put forth by the Darwin. See, what he is telling means fringing reef was first formed on the sloping shore of the island. As we have studied, fringing reef is the first phase of the coral reef formation. Fringing reef, after that barrier reef, after that atoll will be formed. Clear? Now, this Darwin is saying fringing reef was first formed on the sloping shore of the island. Okay, it is near the shore. Now, subsidence of the sea floor then commenced in the regions of reef, followed by the upward or the outward growth of the corals. Now, the growth of corals or the coral formation have been developing there. Thus, the fringing reef becomes the barrier reef. See, fringing reef is what is fringing reef means? They are going to form near on the sloping shore of the island. Okay, and in that fringing reef, the corals are elaborating its structure and they are going to develop as the barrier reef. By gradual sinking of the island, now the island is sinking down, the coral have been developed. The coral have been developing over the island. Now, the gradual sinking of island, ultimately it is vanished. See, is there any island forming? Island is there in the atoll. Initially, the island have been here. Okay, in fringing reef. If anybody have any confusion, just listen me correctly. See, this is the volcanic island. Okay, it is completely surrounded by the water. See, a green color is formed there. Uh, this is called the fringing reef. They are developing on the shore of the island. Okay, now here in the barrier reef, a lagoon is forming. And after the atoll, there is no island is present here. See, there is no structure here is seen in this atoll. Only lagoon and the island is sinking down. The coral is dominating. Okay, only then it is said to be a coral island. And in time it acquires a growth of vegetation. Now, glacial control theory by Daly. Another theory was proposed by the Daly. What he is saying is accounts for the lowering of the ocean level by withdrawal of water by the glacial formation. See, consider this as a glaciers, which means what? It is made up of what? Ice. Glacial formation. If the ice will be melt, definitely the level of sea will be rising. Now, if the level if the level of sea will be rise, if the temperature will be low, definitely this liquid is going to converted into solid structure, that is glaciers. If the glacier will be formation, definitely the level of water will be reducing. When the level of water will be reducing, this favors the structure. This temperature and the level of water is low. These two things favors the formation of the structure called the coral reef. This is what is saying, glacier control theory. How the glaciers will help in the formation of coral reefs was explained by the Daly. See, when the glaciers melted and the temperature becomes favorable, the corals begins to grow on these platforms, building higher as the ocean level rise. Most reefs grows at the rate of 10 to 200 mm each year. Most of the existing reefs could have formed in the period of 15,000 to 30,000 years. See, the coral reef formation will take how much of years? How much of years they can withstand their own structure? This is what about the coral reef formation. If you have any doubt, means you can explain. You can ask me now. What is fringing reef, barrier reef, at all? If you look at the structure means you can easily know what is fringing reef, barrier reef and atoll. Any doubts? Lalita, Shanti Karnya. Okay. Formation of coral reefs. It has been completed. Now what are all the economic importance of coral reefs? See, corals of the remote geological past formed reef structures that were very high favorable sites for the accumulation of petroleum deposits. What is there actually for? Say they are favorable sites for the accumulation of petroleum deposits because they themselves act as a fossils. Excuse me. The coral reefs are of much importance to the oil industry. See, what are all the economic importance? They can be asked in the question. They can give the list of economic importance, and what they can be asked in the question. What are all the things they are? What are all the What are all the economic importance of coral reefs? And they have been given three options. In the last option, they'll give all the above. See, you should know what are all the economic importance. Petroleum deposits, oil industry, they can be used as the habitations also, and some of the corals like blue coral, red coral, they are being also used in the aesthetic value, that is decorative value. And corallum rubrum, this is said to be as a precious stone which is present in the India and China. They are treated as auspicious. Now see this red coral, organ pipe coral, they are in the indigenous system of medicine in the southern India. Okay, so you should know that indigenous type of corals are the red coral and the organ pipe coral. Now, chunks of the coral's skeleton belonging to the species porites, they are used as a building material. So then you have to think how this type of skeleton is so strong. Okay, how strong the skeleton is. But only then, if it only this is a strong skeleton, they can use it as a building material. So see, so just imagine how strong it is. Coral skeleton serves as a raw material for the preparation of lime, mortar, and cement because of their calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate content. Okay, because this is the raw material for the preparation of lime. Lime is made up of what? Calcium carbonate. So this skeleton is made up of calcium carbonate. So obviously this can act as a raw material for the preparation of lime. Okay, like in the same way this mortar and the cement, because the skeleton is made up of calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate. Okay, now the coral skeleton is also helpful in making ridges that may act as a natural barriers against the sea erosion and the cyclonic storms. This coral reef serves as a good nursery grounds for the commercial important fishes. This is an important point. So this area can be considered as the, or this area is favorable for the fishing. Reef fish varieties are more colorful than the others. The fishes which is present where the coral reef is dominant, that fishes are more colorful in nature. Why? Because they ate some of the coral. They ate some of their corals as their food materials. So that's all about the coral reef formation. See, obelia is not in your syllabus. In your syllabus, they have given only the polymorphism, metagenesis, coral formation, and ctenophora. And we have completed this polymorphism, metagenesis, coral formation. And my suggestion is, you should read this obelia. Okay, and what are all the things you have? I have explained in the general characteristic classification and other things. The same thing will be seen in the obelia also. It is, but it is not in your syllabus. But I suggest you to read this. You should read this, and if you didn't understand, I'll teach you once again. But before I'm teaching, you should revise it. If you have any doubt, means only then I'm going to teach this obelia. But it is not in your syllabus. But some of the points in obelia is very important, like what is cenosarc, what is perisarc, what are they going to form this, what are all the modification of polyp, what is cenosarc, like that. These are all the things are important, and you should go through once. If you didn't understand, no problem. I'll teach. Okay, only then if you didn't understand. Okay, that's all about the sealant data. Now we are moving to the test part. Up to that, no. One left part is stenophora. I didn't teach you this. Okay, we'll finish this stenophora. See, the question can be asked from Ctenophora, no doubt in that. That much important area is this Ctenophora. In this, it is a phylum which is placed under Eumetazoa, and this is said to be a marine invertebrates. And this Ctenophora means comb bearing. What is it? Comb bearing. They are commonly known as the comb jellies or the sea walnuts. So this point is very, very, very important. So the question can be asked, like I said, no, sea fans, sea urchin, sea cucumber, sea walnuts. In the name of sea, they'll ask some of the questions. I'll show you some of the questions like that. But before that, you should know what is comb jelly, what is sea walnuts, what is comb bearing, what is these comb bearing, comb jelly, sea walnuts, everything will denote what? Ctenophora. See, the most important characteristic features of this particular phylum Ctenophora is the presence of comb plates. And this comb plate, not this comb plate is special. This comb plate is present with cilia. That is a special part, and that cilia is the one help the organisms for the locomotion process. We know that this is radially symmetrical. This is digloblastic. And now the body part is the body of the Ctenophora is most complex than the sponges. That is why it is placed under Metazoa. And you should know that phylum Porifera is more simpler than the Coelenterate. See, when compared to the Coelenterate, this Porifera is simpler part. And when compared to the Coelenterate, this Platyhelminthus is more complex. And when compared to this Platyhelminthus, Nemathelminthus is most complex. When compared to this Nemathelminthus, phylum Annelida is the most complex part. And when compared to this Annelida, Arthropoda is very complex. You should know that if they have given a statement, the body part of the Ctenophora is more complex than sponges means what? The upcoming phylums are more complex than the previous phylums. Okay. See, Annelida is an earthworm, but Arthropoda is little bit evolved organisms are placed in an arthropoda like insects, spiders, and all. So you should know that the upcoming phylums are the most complex phylum than the previous phylum. So obviously, the phylum Coelenterata is most complex than the Porifera. So you should know that. These are all the simple things, but the statements looks confusing. So you should not get confused like that. For that, I said that. Like cnidarians, they also exhibit tissue level of organization. See, in Coelenterata, there is a two phylums. What is that? Cnidaria and the Ctenophora. Cnidaria and Ctenophora, they too comprisingly called as a Coelenterata. So this Cnidaria and this Ctenophora, both are what? Tissue level organization, both are radially symmetrical, both are digloblastic, and they also show bioluminescence. This Ctenophora also show bioluminescence. This is the most important thing. This is most important as it versus the comb bearing comb jellies. These 2 points are very, very important. But only the Ctenophora has comb bearing, not the Cnidaria. But both possess what characters? Bioluminescence characteristics. Now, classification and characteristics. Now, what is the kingdom? It is placed in the kingdom Animalia. What is the subkingdom? Eumetazoa. And what is the name of the phylum? Ctenophora. See, you should know the examples. As I said, when it comes to the non-chordata, examples are very crucial. So you should remember what are all the examples. Pleurobrachia, Bero, Nemiopsis, Bolinopsis, Tennoplana. These are all what? Organisms which is placed into the phylum Ctenophora. Now, according to the presence and absence of tentacles, they are giving rise to the two types of classes. Tentaculata, the organisms or the Ctenophorans which have the tentacles which is placed in the Tentaculata. The Ctenophorans which do not have such structure, it is placed under the class Nuda. Okay, and the another characteristics are not that much important. Only these two difference is very, very important. Okay, and I have added the general characteristics of the Ctenophora. This will be similar as in the Coelenterata. Okay, so we'll move fast. They are free living marine. We know that this is the digloblastic in nature. That is two layer, endoderm and ectoderm. And between these two, there is not a third layer, but a structure, a gelatinous structure called mesoglia is present. But it is not well differentiated. Now, acoelomate animal. Acoelomate means what? They do not have any structure called body cavity and it is radially symmetrical tissue level of body organization. We know that Ctenophora is known for its comb plates, and this comb plate is not present just like that. It is present with the cilia so that it acts as a locomotory organ, helps the organism in the process of locomotion. Now, how they comb plates are arranged? They are mostly arranged as 8 rows of comb plates, 8 rows. Okay, they are the largest single animals using the cilia for the locomotion. This is also an important statement. The cilia are arranged in comb-like glands so that it is called as the teats. Now, size is not important. See, the ctenophores have the coloblast. Coloblast is not the coloblast cells, colocytes. Okay, just like sclerocytes and scleroblast, this coloblast and the colocytes is present in the ctenophores. What is their responsibility? This coloblast is to capture the prey, and this coloblast, as it has the function of capturing the prey, where it is going to present, they are going to present on the tentacles because the tentacles is the one involving in the capturing of prey. So this coloblast along with the tentacles will be very efficient in capturing the prey. Okay, now coloblasts consist of a cells which is called as the colocytes, which have the coiled spiral filament. And what is the why, in which mechanism this colocytes helpful in capturing the prey means they are adhesive. They are gum-like structure, gelatinous structure. By in that structure, the prey is going to stick with it. As it looks like a gum, the prey will attach with those gum. Okay, that is the characters of coloblasts, and it is present on the tentacles. But in case of nidoblast in nidarians, see, we know that ctenophores is there and nidarians is there. In ctenophores, it is coloblast is present. In nidarians, what is present there? Nidoblast is there. Okay, nidoblast have these stinging capsules, and stinging capsules is what? Nematocyst. Okay, that is the unique structure between that is the unique part between these two. In Adarians, it is said to be as a nidoblast. In ctenophores, it is said to be as the coloblast. And sensory cells is present in the outer epidermis. They secrete the mucus and provide protection to it. Now, interstitial cells are also present in the outer epidermis. They are transformed into another cell type. This is not that much important point. The most important point is the nerve net. The nerve net is present in the inner epidermis. It also contains the myoepithelial cells, which works like the muscles. See, the concept of nerve cells which have been arised from the phylum Coelenterate, and again the point proves that. See, the nerve net is present in where? It is present in the inner epidermis. It is also has the myoepithelial cells which works like muscles. That is why I said that the muscle system is not well developed, but the muscle system is present. Like I have explained for the nervous system. The well developed nervous system is not seen in the phylum Coelenterate, but the concept of nervous structure have been starting from the phylum Coelenterate. Now, the internal cavity is formed by the mouth pharynx internal canal. Cilia is present in the mouth and pharynx. The cavity is lined with the gastrodermis. This is what an important point. This gastrodermis, this internal cavity is nothing but gastrovascular cavity. And the gastrovascular cavity is lined by the gastrodermis. And that gastrodermis is what is made for the function of digestion process. This gastrodermis contains nutritive cells, germ cells, photocytes which stores food, produce egg or sperm, and are responsible for the bioluminescence. As Ctenophora has the capacity to emit the bioluminescence, which cells is important for this bioluminescence is nothing but gastrodermis layer. Now, ciliated cells in the gastrodermis is responsible for water circulation in the canals and rivers. Because of the beating of the cilia, the waste have been expelled outside of the body. And the digestion seen here is both extracellular and intracellular. What is meant by extracellular and intracellular? Right from the beginning, I will keep on explaining. And don't confuse with the difference between these two. And now, they do not possess a brain or the nervous system. As I have said, they do not have a well-developed nervous system, but they have a nerve net which is found around the mouth region and the more concentrated in comb nodes and the tentacles. Just remember the nerve net is present, that is sufficient. And it contains the statosis. What is statosis? Again, it is a sensory organ where it is present in the oral region, which means in the mouth region, situated opposite the mouth, and it has a sensory function with it. It has a sensory function. It is said to be as a balancing organ. Helps in the organism in the swimming process. Now, it is bisexual. What is the other name of bisexual? Lalita, Shantikaranya, just tell me what is the other name of bisexual? This bisexual is monoecious or dioecious? Just tell me that. That is okay for me. Bisexual means monoecious or dioecious? I have explained this concept multiple times. Don't make a mistake with it. Just say me yes or no. Do you know or what? Is it? Is it dioecious? Okay. I have know that you are confusing with this word. See, monoecious, hermaphrodite, bisexual, sexes are not separate. These are all the similar points. Sexes are not separate. Are not separate means what? Sexes are not separate means both individuals are present in the same, both male and female reproductive organ present in the same individual. So both the sexes are present in this one single individual. If two sexes present in the same individual means it is bisexual in nature, no? See, male and female both are present in the same individual. So it is said to be as a monoecious. As sexes are not separate, it is said to be as a monoecious. Okay, and it is bisexual. Two sexes are present in the same individual. It is also called as a hermaphrodite. But dioecious, sexes are separate. Sexes are separate. It is unisexual. Only one male. Sexes are separate means what? Both female and male are present in the different individual. Different individual. As only one sex is present in each individual, it is said to be as a unisexual. Sexes are separate, so we can find two different organisms. So it is said to be as a dioecious. Clear? Good. Don't confuse with these basic concept, okay? Fine. Ctenophora reproduce sexually, and if it is a sexual reproduction, definitely fertilization is going to happen. And in case of fertilization, what it is going to external or internal. As it occurs outside in the body, it is said to be as an external fertilization. So, and the development is indirect development. So, as the development is indirect, just tell me whether the larval stages is going to occur in this type or not. What is indirect development? Is there any larval stages seen in indirect development or not? Just tell me. Very good. In indirect development, the young ones are going to give rise to larva, instar larva one, whatever, how many larval stages also there can be occur. There is not only one larval stages can be seen. There can be different types of larval stages can be seen, and that larval stages metamorphosis into an adult stage. That is called as the what? Indirect development. Okay, in case of direct development, the young ones directly gives rise to an adult. Okay, fine. Now, some produces sperms and eggs at the same time and some at the different times, which means what? See, I have said this is bisexual, this is not, the sexes are not separate. You should also understand another point. See, consider this as an organism, male reproductive organ is there, female reproductive organ is there. See, this male reproductive, so this is as the sexes is not separate, it is said to be the bisexual or the monoecious or the hermaphrodite or the sexes are not separate. Okay, see, You should remember that this male reproductive organ is going to give rise to the sperm, and the female reproductive organ is going to give rise to eggs or ovum. Okay, and you should know this happenings of formation of sperm and egg does not occur at the same time. This sperm will produce at one different time, and this egg will produce another time. So this cannot be occur in the same time, but only in some species it occurs in same time, and only in some of the species it occurs in the different time. Okay, you should also know that. Then as it is present in the same individual, only self fertilization will occur. Self fertilization means what? The sperm and egg which is present in the same individual, and the fertilization will occur between the same sperm and egg which is present in that particular organism. What is cross fertilization? The sperm will produce in one organism and the egg will produce in another organism, and the fusion between these two organisms is said to be as what? Cross fertilization. Okay. Oh, fine. Clear about the self fertilization and cross fertilization? If you have any doubt, means you can ask me now. And this platytenids also reproduce by the fragmentation, which is what? Asexual reproduction method. They show the internal fertilization. Fertilization has been occurred within the body of an organism. Good. The eggs remains in the brood chambers until hatched. What is the name of the chamber where the egg have been placed after until it hatched means brood chambers. Brood chambers is the name of the chambers the egg is going to become hatched. Now, both the species shows regeneration. This regeneration is the natural ability of an organism which is placed under the invertebrates. So, the coelenterate also have the regeneration capacity. And the most important point is they show the bioluminescence. What is bioluminescence means? They emit light. Okay, you can see some of the insects which emit light during the night time, and that is called as the bioluminescence. That's all about the Ctenophora. And if you have any doubt, means you can ask me now. We'll move to the test. Any doubts, or shall we move to the question? Okay, if you didn't have any doubt, means you can answer for the first question. Pick the most suitable terminology to designate the life cycle of Obelia. For this question, you should not there is no necessary to read about the life cycle of Obelia. If you know the general characteristic features of Coelenterate, you can easily answer this question and pick out the most suitable terminology to designate the life cycle of Obelia. What is this? Metamorphosis, neoteny, metagenesis, none of the above. What will be the answer? Is it metamorphosis? Is it metamorphosis, or what is metamorphosis first? What is metamorphosis? It is the structural change it undergoes. See, this is an young. Okay, this is an young progeny. It gives rise to one larval stages 1, larval stages 2, larval stages 3, and this is the one going to give rise to an adult, and they again gives rise to that adult also gives rise to one young one. Then the life cycle continues, and the stages of the life cycle is said to be as the metamorphosis. But what they are asking in the question, suitable terminology that designate the life cycle of Obelia. And Obelia, we have studied that there is an alternation of generation is happening in the, see, what is in the Obelia? It is clearly impossible to differentiate between the sexual and asexual reproduction in Obelia. And from where we have studied this? Alternation of generation. I have explained you very clearly This obelia will show the alternation of generation. So what is an exact word? Not neoteny. Neoteny is a characteristic features which has been followed by the amphibians. I'm going to teach you about neoteny. No doubt, no connection with this with Coelenterate. Metagenesis is the one. Metagenesis is also called as what? Alternation of generation. So this is the terminology to designate the life cycle of obelia. Now, second question. This group is completely known as the C stick. I said no, C fan, C stick. You should also aware of these names. Good. C stick, they are said to be as the what? Coelentratans. Now, good. Coelentratans, very good. This doesn't belongs to the phylum Coelenterata. See, I have said, I'll show one question. See, all the things are come with the C, name C. C cucumber, C feather, C pen, C fan. This is not belongs to the phylum Coelenterata. What is it? Very good. Superb. Sea cucumber, and this sea cucumber will place under which phylum? Any idea about the sea cucumber which is placed under which phylum? Very good. Echinodermata. Good. A Coelenterata, but sea feather, sea pen, sea fan. Everything will be placed under the phylum Coelenterata. This sea cucumber, sea urchin, these are all comes under the phylum Echinodermata. Now, we are going to see that, no doubt, no problem. See, a Coelenterata that is commonly referred to as a freshwater polyp. And what is that? Obelia, Physalia, Hydra, Aurelia. 1 minute. Okay. Very good. The answer is Hydra. Okay. This is said to be as a freshwater polyp. Don't forget. And this is the special characteristics of Coelenterata occurs only in them. Flame cells, hermaphroditism, nematocyst, polymorphism. This is the special characters of Coelenterata occur only in them. Is it polymorphism? And what about Trypanosoma gambians? It is a protozoa, but it shows a mechanism of polymorphism by exhibiting in different forms. Amastigoid form, leishmanial form, tropomonoid form. Polymorphism can be exhibited in different forms, but it be frequently seen. It will be very well developed in Coelenterata. Okay, but it is not a only characteristic seen in the Coelenterata. But what is hermaphroditism? Hermaphroditism is the sexes are not separate in many organisms, not only Coelenterata. Okay. What is the character? So flame cells will be present in which of the phylum? Just tell me, flame cells will be present in which of the phylum? Flame cells. Did you know or what? Just say yes or no. Don't take much time. See, flame cells. Okay, good. Flame cells are the characteristics of the phylum Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes. We are going to deal within the helminthes category. In the helminthes, and this platyhelminthes is also called as a flatworms, and that flatworms has the flame cells, and this flame cells has a function of excretion. I'm going to ask you, I'll teach the platyhelminthes, and you should remember that. What is it? Flame cells is a characteristic of platyhelminthes. This platyhelminthes, it is also called as a flatworm. This flame cells has a function of excretion function. Clear? Now this hermaphroditism, it is also called as a monoecious. Monoecious means both male and female present in the same individual. And this monoecious, it is seen in many of the different phylums, not only the Coelenterata, but this is not the answer for this question. Polymorphism, it is also exhibited by many of the protozoans, many other organisms. For example, trypanosoma gametes, we have studied that. So this nematocyst is the one which is present only in the Coelenterate. What is the function of the nematocyst? It is a defensive organelle. Clear? Fine. Next. The characteristics larva in Coelenterate. Yes, very good. It is in defense. Good. Next, the characteristics larva in Coelenterate is oncosphere, rhabditiform, planula, cysticircus. Very good. It is the characteristics. This is why to answer this question, you should know what are the larval stages, right? Good. That is why I keep on stressing remembering the names of larval stage. Very, very crucial. Okay. Planula larva. Good. Oxygen in coelenterate is supplied to different tissues by. So before that answer for my question, is there any separate respiratory organ is present in coelenterate? Is there any respiratory organ present in coelenterate? Just say yes or no. Is there any respiratory organ seen in coelentrates? Did I explain anything about that? Good. There is no. See, this point have been made into a question. Coelom, respiratory, circulatory, excretory systems are wanting. Wanting means not. It is not something like it. It is in need of that organ. Okay, but it has a no definite function. Yes, sir. Wanting means it is in need of that organ, which means what? These organs are not present in that individual. Wanting means that there is no presence of these respiratory organ, circulatory organ, excretory organ. Okay, they are wanting. Wanting means you should not exactly translate into our mother tongue. Okay, wanting means it is present there. It is not like that. Wanting means there is no presence of these type of respiratory organ, circulatory organ, excretory organ. Clear? So there is no specialized organ for reproduction, respiration. These type of organ is not present, as no specific organ is present here. So if the organism doesn't possess that particular organ, definitely what is the mechanism they are going to follow for those mechanisms? Diffusion mechanisms is there. Okay, by diffusion through integuments, this coelenterate is going to do the respiration function. Okay, there is no respiratory organ is present, so there is no need of this blood pigment, as the tracheal tubes is again a respiratory organ. It is not present in the coelenterate, so there is no need of plasma also. So the simple mechanism will be followed by these coelenterate, as it lacks the respiratory organ. It is diffusion. Okay, simple diffusion. Clear about this question? Yes, the answer is diffuses through integuments. That is why I'm stressing each and every point which is mentioned in the general questions can be made into one each different types of question. You should know that. The class of Coelenterata, which is in which the medusa and polyp both are found in one animal is. Very good. Why you have answered correctly first, then why C? The answer is hydrozoa. In Cyphozoa, which character is present? Polyp or medusa. In Anthozoa, either it is polyp or medusa. In Cyphozoa, either it is polyp or medusa. But in Hydrozoa, both polyp as well as medusa is present. What is your duty is which is present in Cyphozoa, which is present in Anthozoa, which is absent in Cyphozoa, and which is absent in Anthozoa. Asexual and sexual. Yes, yes, asexual and sexual. In Cyphozoa, only polyp is dominant, right? In Anthozoa, medusa is dominant. There is no structure called polyp is present there. But in Hydrozoa, both polyp and medusa is present. Okay. See, from classification, again, we'll found a question. This phylum shows the presence of nerve cells and absence of nerves. What is a phylum? Yeah. Very good. Again, coelenterata. There is a presence of nerve cells, but there is no nerves. It is a nerve net. Okay, fine. Good. This is the characteristics of coelenterata, and what is that? Polyp, gastrovascular cavity. Very good. Nerve net. All are marine. Presence of tentacles around mouth. Polyp, gastrovascular cavity. That's all about the first questions. First set of questions have been over. Again, 15 questions is there. If you answer very quickly means let us finish this, so those 15 questions also. Polyp, gastrovascular cavity, all are marine. Just recheck your answer. Presence of tentacles around mouth. Again, you'll get confusing. See, in case of porifera, we have a paragastric cavity. In case of coelenterata, the characteristic feature is gastrovascular cavity. See, it is paragastric cavity in porifera, gastrovascular cavity in coelenterata. Polyp, it is just a structure which is also present in some other phylums also. Okay, and all are marine. It is an extreme statement. All are marine. No, some of them are in other things also, like fresh water. Presence of tentacles around mouth. Not only coelentrates possess tentacles around mouth. So the answer is gastrovascular cavity. Okay. Answering a wrong option is not that much. It is not very bad thing. You should acquire many knowledge only when you are doing mistakes. Okay, but that mistake should not be repeated again. Clear? This doing mistakes in the class time is not very bad thing, but doing mistakes, doing the second mistakes in the exam is the critical part. Okay, so don't repeat the mistakes again. Now, the nematocyst or the specialized characteristics found in the members of the phylum. What is that? Nematocyst, which is a specialized cells, which is meant for what? It is a defensive organelle found in members of the phylum, Cnidaria, Porifera, Annelida, Mollusca. Very good, super. Cnidaria. Next, tentacles of Hydra helps in. Very good. In both A and B. Okay, locomotion as well as food capturing. Very good. Hydra is put under the phylum Cnidaria because it has. As it is an area, what is going to have? 1 minute. And these are all the answers. As it is a area, what is going to have? Definitely they are going to have nidoblast. In case of Ctenophora, what is going to have? What is the name of the cells or the blast which is present in the phylum Ctenophora? I have explained, right? Remember, coloblast. This is present in case of phylum Ctenophora. Okay. Okay. Answer for this question. The poisonous fluid which is present in the nematocyst of Hydra. We know that nematocyst is meant for the defense process. If it want to do the defense function, definitely it is going to have some poisonous fluid to sting. Okay, by stinging, it is going to paralyze those particular prey. And what is the name of the toxin? You can easily say this. Yeah, very good. Hypnotoxin. See, hypnotoxin is the answer. Nematocyst or the organ of, what is it meant for? Again, don't think much for these type of questions. What about the other? The answer for this question is defense and offense. Okay. Hydra prevents self-fertilization by being. Hydra prevents the self-fertilization by being. From this, again, one different concept will arise. Let me explain you first. See, we know that what is hermaphrodite organism. What is hermaphrodite? It is monoecious. Okay. It is also called as a monoecious because both male and female will present in the same individual. Okay. And this male organ will going to give rise to the sperm. And this female organ is going to give rise to egg or the ovum. Okay. But this will be produced at one time and this will produce at the one time in many species. In some species, both will be produced at the same time. Okay, you should know this. See, if just take down, if the sperm will produce before the ovum, then this condition is called as the protoandrous. Protoandrous. What is it? If the sperm will produce before the ovum, then it is said to be as the protoandrous. If the ovum will produce before the sperm, then it is said to be as the protogynous. Okay. See, I have explained both male and female organism will present in the same individual. Then it is said to be as a hermaphrodite or monoecious. Okay, we know this male reproductive organ will give rise to sperm and this female will produce the ovum or the egg. Okay, now this sperm will produce at one time, this ovum will produce at different time. But in some species will produce, will they both sperm and ovum will produce at the same time. Clear? See, if it is produced in the same time, then it's not a problem. If it is produced at different time, they can't undergo the process of fertilization. They can't undergo the self-fertilization. There is a difference between, yeah, yeah. See, if the and ovum will produce at the same time, means that may not be going to cause any chaos in that. If the sperm will produce first, see, what is self fertilization and a cross fertilization? The sperm and the ovum will be produced in the same individual and the fertilization occurs between the sperm and the ovum produced by the same individual. Then it is said to be as the self-fertilization. The sperm will produce at one organism and the ovum will produce at one organism and the fusion occurs between these two means cross-fertilization. And what is the question here asked means Hydra prevents the self-fertilization by protandrous. The answer for this question is protandrous. What is protandrous? The sperm will produce before the ovum. Then it is said to be as the protandrous. Very good. Andro means male, gyne means female. I think clear with you with this question, right? The next question. The planula larva is found in the life history of. The planula larva found in the life history of. Very good, because planula larvae is the larval stages of which phylum? Coelentratans. Clear? So the answer for this question is all the class. Hydrozoa, Anthozoa, Scyphozoa. Everything will undergo the larval stages called planula larva. Very good. Polymorphic cnidarians are the members of the class. I have explained you one statement. Polymorphism will be exhibit in the one of the class of the coelenterate. And what is it? Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa, Actinozoa. Anybody remember? Is it? Is it actinozoa? So it is very clear you people didn't revise it. What I have been explained here, the first line itself I have mentioned. In hydrozoa. Okay. So in which phylum? Polymorphic cnidarians are the members of the class hydrozoa. Clear? Okay. Now, coral reefs or forming coral reef forming coelentrates belongs to the class. What is the answer for this question? Quick. 6 more questions is remaining. Very good. Super. It is actinozoa. Good. Among coelentrates, medusoid individuals are absent in the members of the class. Okay, as this question is repeating, let me once again explain you this concept. See, in hydrozoa, asexual polyp is dominant. Sexual medusoid is present. Anyhow, this polyp is present, there's no doubt in that, but both polyps and medusa, both are present in which class? Hydrozoa. Don't forget, polyps and medusa, both are the structures seen in the hydrozoa. Clear? And with respect to the cyphozoa, the polyp stage is absent here. Medusa stage is dominant. Okay. In cyphozoa, what is dominant? Medusa stage is dominant. In anthozoa, polyp stage is present, medusa stage is absent. Just take down, in anthozoa, medusa stage is absent. Clear? Very good. So, this medusa stage is absent in members of the class. Answer for this question is anthozoa. Very good. Okay, so don't forget this question. That is why reading the classification is also important. Once again, I'll prove that. Ephyra is a larval form of. Ephyra larva is a larval form of. Very good. So you are answering for difficult questions, but you are not answering for the simple questions. Ephyra larva is a larval form of Aurelia. Okay. 6 septa are the 6 mesenteries or the characteristic features of. 6 septa are the 6 mesenteries or the characteristic features of. This is the characteristic features of obelia, and this is why I'm stress on uh, reading this obelia. Just revise one time. Okay, just read the PPT once. Sea anemone is. This you can easily answer, I hope. Sea anemone is what? Is it bilaterally symmetry? What is it? Quick. The answer for it is not bilateral. Did I explain anything about bilateral symmetry in phylum Coelenterate? The answer for this question is it is a diagonoblastic in nature and radially symmetric. Okay, don't get confused with this. Sea anemone comes under the phylum Coelenterate. So obviously it is radially symmetry and diploblastic. Okay, why are you not answering for this simple question? The most primitive invertebrate to possess musculoepithelial cells and nerve cells is. And before that answer for my question, what is icon? 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 Okay, answer is D. What is icon? Cycon is the type of canal system which we have seen in what? Porifera. Did you remember? Ascon, Cycon, Ducon type is the canal system. So obviously, this will not be the answer. What is Spongilia? Again, this is a protoporifera. Clear? So obviously, this will not also not be an answer. Fasciola. What is fasciola? It comes under the phylum Platyhelminthes. Okay. So Hydra is the only one which is present under the Coelenterate, and we know that from Coelenterate, the concept of nerve cells have been arise. So obviously the answer will be Hydra. This is how you have to analyze the question. Okay, by reading this, you should not remember only Hydra is comes under this, but you also know what are all the other three options. Okay, this from these three options in the exam they can made a question. They may ask a question. Okay, so these three or analyzing the other options is also important. That is how solving questions will helps in answering the questions when it comes to the exam. The first invertebrates to develop a true nervous system are again Coelenterata. Okay. If you have any doubt means you can ask me now or you can leave the class. Thank you. Any doubts? Tomorrow same time. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.